Welcome back to Bus Picks. Oh, I'm taking it this time.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I saw the window and I went for it.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
All right, we got Don and my co-host right over here.
You couldn't handle the heat, could
No,
you?
I couldn't.
Yeah,
That was a weird
I saw
one.
the second you were like,
No, I saw panic in the
cool.
eyes.
I got to check it out, take notes. I got you. Welcome back to Bus Picks. It's episode 36. My name is Dio. That's Donovan. Don, what's the fact of the day?
Fact of the day, and it's an interesting one considering the season right now. As we know, Sammy Sosa and the Cubs have been trying over the last couple months, have been trying to repair that relationship a little bit. They finally brought him back into the fold for some photo ops and things like that.
It looks a little forced.
It looks a little forced, but weird fact that has sprung to light a little bit. Sammy Sosa never actually failed a drug test for the MLB.
Sammy Sosa never failed.
A drug test for the MLB.
But he's like known as like the drug guy, one of the drug guys.
That's the weird one. So the what's it called? So in 2009, the New York Times got a hold of a previous drug test in 2003. The MLB put out, and this was during the big
steroid era,
court trials steroid era, where the MLB was basically trying to figure out, okay, how many players in the league are on steroids or on illegal substances. They didn't call it a steroid test, as illegal substances. And so they put out a voluntary test. Players were going to remain anonymous, and they were just trying to get, okay, what percentage here, and that was going to kind of gauge their new rules and regulations moving forward.
Did they stand by that?
So they did.
Okay, cool.
2003, they put out a test. 140 players tested positive for at least some kind of substance that was listed as illegal.
Gotcha.
And that was going to generate the rules. To end of the 2003 season is when they started putting sanctions on steroid use and other things like it. Because before 2003, if you got caught on steroids, there was no punishment. At least for your first offense. For your first offense, there was no punishment.
Yeah.
It was slap on the wrist, don't do it again kind of thing. So 2003 was that big turning point. So in 2009, the New York Times somehow got a hold of this test and started leaking names.
Oh.
So the
I did not know that,
So
dude.
the MLB kept it quiet, and the reason it was kept quiet was federal investigators in 2003, 2004 were trying to get a hold of this test, and it went through the courts to the Supreme Court, and they ruled, hey, you got the U.S. government investigating
Shout out to the
this
Supreme Court.
cannot they cannot use this test. It was promised to the union that it was going to be kept sealed. You cannot use it. Somehow 6 years later, the New York Times got a hold of it and started leaking names, and one of the names they leaked was Sammy Sosa.
That's so dirty, dude. The New York Times has done some shady stuff, man.
But so this is the weird one. They never, because it was anonymous and they didn't list anything specific other than a couple names, we don't know what he tested positive for. And Sosa has testified in front of Congress saying he has not used an illegal drug and has continued to this day saying he would never take in
What if it was
anything
like weed
illegal.
or like crack cocaine or like
It's whatever they tested for, and that has been part of the sealed document of we do not know was on that 2003 test.
That's good. I'm happy with never knowing.
So he's definitely used it.
No,
the guy's had his I'm not trying to. He definitely did. The weird
huge.
way around this that he's never officially tested positive, so it's a weird ruling where it's like, well, he didn't get caught like Barry Bonds did,
Well, yeah, Barry Bonds is the GOAT, though.
and he didn't admit to it like McGuire did.
Okay, yeah. I mean, McGuire's also.
Is he eligible for the Hall of Fame then?
He should be eligible for the Hall of. I think every steroid user should be eligible.
If there was
for the
no
Hall of
rule
Fame.
against it at the time, yeah.
I think if you did steroids, it sucks that you did that. But if everyone in the league was doing it, all 140 guys,
Yeah, 140 guys tested positive for some kind of illicit substance during that voluntary
then
test.
let's just count them what they were. I think in about 50 years, what they did with the Negro League statistics when they just folded them
it in as they should have years ago.
I think it's not as serious as that because that should have been folded
back decades
in its
ago.
own time. Like should never. It doesn't matter. I think people go back in time and be like, steroid era is just its own thing.
I think it should be. It's like
it's fine. Let's enjoy it for what it was because it was probably the best baseball's ever been.
it was electric every single game.
It literally is a reason why I cared about baseball as a child. And after that, I was like, this thing's boring. Yeah, because you literally injected life into the game.
And now it's starting to pick back up again because of the two true outcome rules. But
yeah.
No, just a weird one. Like Sosa has never actually failed a drug test for the MLB.
I did not know that, and it is something that I'm going to go around and be like, did you guys know Sosa actually never even failed a drug test for the MLB? And people
No.
would be like, what?
The only speculation is he possibly took steroids while in the Dominican Republic,
No, they
in
don't do
between
anything bad there.
in between seasons.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
I mean,
He's
because
training.
it's not illegal there.
Yeah, shit's wild. Let's go into never too late news. We got a couple topics I want to talk about.
Sure.
Things that have been happening in sports we could all say July's like the slowest sports ever get.
Yeah, you're getting the start of
But-
the NBA Summer League, like the initial
Tennis
kind
is
of
kicking
classics.
off right now.
Wimbledon's going on.
Racing's at an all-time high. There is like stuff you
But
just kind
for-
of got to search a little more.
Yeah,
for.
Formula One's about to take its 2-week vacation.
We're
here
also
in a few
kind of
weeks.
lucky because like we're getting the Copa America. I don't watch soccer. We're going to talk about it a little bit right now.
Yeah.
Olympics are this summer, so that really
The trials have
holds
been
us
a
off.
lot of fun.
And then basketball because Euro basketball and like USA
Yeah.
basketball team. So let's actually start with that international basketball.
Sure.
Don, give me a quick rundown. How are we looking first? I know how are we looking?
So if we're talking for the Olympics coming up, I think our team looks fine. We didn't have the best showing the last 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah.
it's felt like they've just called the Avengers and like, no, we just need to lock down this gold medal right
Is
now.
it the Avengers? It feels like there's a lot of older players on this team. We got a Kawhi Leonard who didn't play in the playoffs that much. Like we have LeBron James who's literally 40, which I'm fine. Put him on the team, start him. That's cool.
I think that's the rationale. It's like, yeah, they are a bit older, but doesn't matter. Like they're still like LeBron is still one of the better players in the world. Kawhi's still one of the best players in the world.
So then-
like it's Durant, like putting together the top 5. Like I know that obviously you have the top 12, but the top 5 U.S. players toe to toe should be the best in the world.
Don, who do you think is the best player on the U.S. men's national team right now? Can I give you the roster?
Sure.
Okay, so you have LeBron James.
Yep.
You have Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. You have Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
You have Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. I'm going through the roster right now as we're talking through it. Jason Tatum's on the roster. I know you're a big Jason Tatum guy. Bam Adebayo's on it. Devin Booker. Did I say Steph already?
Yeah, you already said
Okay.
Steph.
Anthony Davis. Anthony Edwards. Tyrese Halliburton, my guy. Tyrese Halliburton's there.
There we go.
Drew Holiday. Pull up the list yourself right there, because we're gonna do a fun little game. Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, man.
You got Steve Kerr coaching. Ty Lue's also coaching, and so is Eric Spoelstra. Mark Few. They really just they got the Avengers on this team.
That's what I'm saying. Is I'm not too concerned about us losing or anything right now.
Don,
Like,
pull up
it
the
should be
roster.
fine.
'Cause
Yeah, I
me
got
and
the
you are about
roster.
to have a draft.
Okay,
You want the first pick or the second pick? I'll let you pick.
I'll do second. I like the
Okay, all
turn.
right, let's build a team.
Okay.
There's plenty of starters for us to pick a team. I'm going to go first. I'm going to take Steph Curry.
Okay, for me, I would
starting five?
Starting 5. For me personally, I would go Anthony Edwards and then Durant.
Anthony Edwards and Durant. I like it. I really don't have anyone that can guard them. So
They're funky like that. Yeah.
I'm going to take the only guy that might guard him. I'm going to take Anthony Davis, and I'm going to take LeBron James.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me in that case, I'm gonna grab Embiid.
Damn it. That was the pick.
Yeah, that one felt pretty
He's the
good.
only true center.
Exact. Well,
I mean, I got Anthony Davis, but like, yeah.
yeah, I need something like that. And then someone to Durant at small forward. Then I'd probably end up with Booker.
You'll take Booker? Okay, I'll take Kawhi Leonard, and then to finish my roster, I'm going to take my other guard. I'm going to put Steph Curry at my 2 guard, and I'm going to
Sure.
put Tyrese Halliburton as my starting point guard.
I like that. I like
yeah,
that.
That's a good. Dude, look
That
at
feels
that.
pretty balanced.
Yeah, you get Kawhi Leonard and Drew Holiday to end your team. It's a beautiful little team we got.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, like that. That's what I'm saying is you can't get.
Yeah, I think that team
Upset at all.
Either teams that we just drafted
Fine.
wipe the rest of the world, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. Is there anyone that we should be a little worried about? Is there anyone out there that we're like, they got a little something? Maybe I know Luca's team just got bounced out of the EuroLeague qualifiers. They're not getting in. I know the Dominican Republic's making some noise with Jose My bad, not Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico's making noise with Jose Alvarado. That guy's dropping like 26 points a night. I know Team Canada might be the strongest and most fierce competition we've ever had.
I'll say that Canada and Australia are typically the two that give the most like worry. But I wouldn't.
Patty Mills out there.
The
French team. Rudy Gobert, Victor Wembanyama.
That one's going to be
Evan
fun.
Fournier. Like, that's a good team.
But I think what they lack is small ball. They have a bunch of great big dudes. No, they have the shooting because Wembanyama could go shoot.
We're gonna do before the NBA season our top 10 NBA players. I think I might be a Victor Wembanyama. Like, he's in my top 10 already. Like,
I think he's there.
I think Victor Wembanyama might be my favorite player in the league.
Like, he's
one of them.
He's gonna be up there, and he's only gonna get better as he gets older. So that's scary.
So let's continue talking about some U.S. Qualifying, and we got World Cup coming to America in a few years, and with that, U.S. soccer. All I've heard is the hype around U.S. soccer, how we're supposed to be really good, and it's the golden generation, yada, yada, yada. And then Copa America, and I'm a guy who doesn't care about kickball, but you put America in front of it, I'm going to root for them. I'm going to root for America. Yeah. And then we lose our games to, like, terrible country. What's going on?
This was fine in my mind.
You're not worried?
I'm not worried with Copa. Okay, because in the Copa America, so the U.S. right now is finished 11th out of 16. Not the best showing. It was not the best showing for us this year.
It's a bad number, Don.
But
below the mean.
But I'm saying historically speaking, the U.S. has made top four two out of the 5 times we've played in the Copa America.
Okay.
So I mean that's a 40% average that we're there, which isn't too bad considering we've only played 5 times and the Copa America has been going on since 1916.
Damn.
Overall, in
1916
is when the Copa America started.
That, though? It was probably 4 teams.
It was Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Colombia came in the 1920s. I'm forgetting the other original.
Okay.
I apologize there.
I got it. You pulled out the first
Chile.
3. That makes sense.
Chile there.
Yeah.
But so overall in the history of the Copa America, the U.S. is tied for 11th best. Out of all countries.
Literally we're exactly where we were before this.
Yeah, so we're doing fine.
So why is everyone telling me that we are scrounging the best opportunity we'll ever have?
It's a weird area right now because so many U.S. players, like so many veterans, went into Copa America.
Yeah.
That our Olympic team is lacking.
Yeah.
Because even though we made the Olympics, the first time since 2008 that we've made the Olympics for soccer. And we sent a lot of our MLS players, not a lot of our U.S. international veterans.
And those guys went to go play in our Copa America.
That's the worry there. Is we pushed in the chips on Copa America on honestly not the best years. Like there's a lot of like Argentina was dominating. Canada came out of nowhere.
Is there a chance that
the U.S. Olympic team will now struggle?
Is there a chance that maybe our MLS team is just that much better?
No, I mean, our MLS teams are pretty good, but just nowhere near the international play. Like, you go to Europe, you go to South America. Yeah, it's just...
Apparently,
it's a next step
going to bring it home for the first time. They keep talking about it.
They keep talking. We'll see. I mean...
Here's the thing. How can that continuous... It's getting cowboyish. Like, where they're like, we're going to bring it home. They haven't done it in a very long time, if I'm correct, right? Like, it's been, like, decades.
It's been a bit since England has been the top team for a sustained run.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the fun part about, like, when you go into these international... You could convince yourself of almost anything.
Dude, we're going to touch the NFL right now, and I know it's going to get contentious in a bit. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Next week's episode is going to be violent because I have that day off, and I'm going to be high playing college football video games the entire day.
That's when the new NCAA comes out, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I took 4 days off of work so I could just play it. So I could just enjoy
That's a next level dedication.
No, I'm so excited, and I'm like, I already know where I'm going to coach. I'm going to be at Ball State. I'm going to be an not offensive coordinator because everybody's going to be an offensive coordinator. I'm going to be a defensive coordinator at Ball State and work my way up as a motivational type coach. working throughout the trenches, going after my building blocks of my franchise, growing and growing and growing. I'm going to go to the Big 12. I'm not going to answer the first calls that the Big 10 and the SEC schools give me. I'm going to work my way up through the Cincinnati Bearcats, through Houston's, through the Toledos, getting my team up, winning national championships, and eventually fading to go to the NFL. That's what I'm going to do.
Your headcanon for this game that hasn't even come out yet is insane.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's get into Louis Hamilton, something that's in your little realm.
Yeah.
You can also talk a little bit about NASCAR because you also took a personal dub for you. You could take it in whatever order you want to do.
Well, I mean, like, just shout out Alex Bowman winning Chicago. That was a great drive. He's not the best season overall. Like, there has been some struggle points. So seeing him rebound right now, that's great. That's
awesome. It's awesome.
No, wonderful to see and wonderful to watch.
Lewis Hamilton, so you and your dad are huge racing fans.
Yes.
We've covered that many times. What's your stance on this guy? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan?
I grew up not being a fan of Hamilton at all, mainly because he was one of the bigger competitors to Ferrari, and I grew up being a big Ferrari guy.
Interesting. Does this force you now to become a Louis Hamilton fan?
Oh, no, I mean, same reason, like, I didn't like Fernando Alonso growing up. I'm now for Alonso stan.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that, like, as I've gotten older, my perspective has changed from being like how I view a lot of U.S. sports like basketball and football, where it's like, this is my team, I have to hate every other team.
Yeah.
To this is my team, I love watching a good race. Like, I enjoy, like, even if I'm not a fan of that driver, I want to see a competitive race.
No,
I don't like watching what's happened a lot last year with Verstappen just running away. It's like, I want to see other teams go and compete.
Mm-hmm. And do you think Louis Hamilton brings that to the sport right now?
No, Hamilton coming back. I think for Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I keep calling him Louis.
I know.
It's Lewis Hamilton.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know if Mercedes has it as strong for the rest of the season. Their cars have just been coming on in the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's crazy to me that they all have like the same car, but they don't have the same car.
Same basic structure, but what you can do within those rules varies dramatically.
And it affects the game year to year, day to day, week. It's crazy.
Week to week, it's retooling every week.
It's crazy.
But so Lewis Hamilton, first win since 2021 in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, 104th win of all time.
Wow.
He set a new record with this win, and that the race, for you guys don't know, is the British Grand Prix in Silverstone, which the top three drivers for qualifying: Lando Norris, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, all British drivers. So all British, like, top three, which was crazy to see.
Are British drivers the ones that dominate the sport the most?
Yes and no. German drivers have been doing pretty well. Because that's where you have Verstappen.
French?
That's some small French drivers. We are seeing Sonoda and like a few Asian drivers come out.
How's the U.S.?
Logan Sargent
are we in the sport at all?
We have Logan Sargent in the U.S. We had Scott Speed for just like a touch. The U.S.
His name is Scott Speed.
Yeah,
dude, that's
destined for
how was he
racing.
not the best racer?
He was a backburger, but
man.
went over to Indy and did okay. But no, it's like the U.S. We have IndyCar, we have NASCAR, so we don't really push to the F1 level often. But no, like, it's so British drivers top three qualifying, end up with 2 out of the top 3 positions to at the end of the race. Hamilton sets a new F1 record, 9th win at the same track. No driver has ever done that before. So he's won at Silverstone 9 different times.
Where was this track at?
In Britain.
Oh, this track.
Yeah,
okay,
Silverstone was in Britain. His teammate George Russell had to retire from the race due to a water system issue on lap 34, but Mercedes was just running away with this race.
Wow.
They were probably going to get 1-2. But a big reason why this is big and a big celebration here. So Lewis Hamilton has been driving the Mercedes car for 83 out of his 104 wins.
Where was he before that? He was with
McLaren.
Right?
McLaren for his first 4 or 5 years, and then jumped over to Mercedes.
Was he ripping it with McLaren as well?
Yeah, that's what got him the deal with Mercedes.
Gotcha.
Was he was won like 22 races with them.
Yeah,
jumped over, dominated for years. This season marks the end of his journey with Mercedes and is jumping over to Ferrari,
which makes you a fan of him now.
Well, I respect him more as a driver now.
Yeah,
like as a young hothead, he was aggressive. He would wreck people often because he was overly aggressive. Now he's one of the elder statesmen. He's controlled a little bit more. I respect
that.
I respect the maturity he has now.
okay.
Versus when he was younger, not
I'm
driving to my
quite
taste.
the opposite. I want them to be the younger.
Oh, he's still
in
aggressive
their
as heck.
face.
Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Like people say, it's like he is overly aggressive.
I like it.
But he's done it for so many years. It's like, yeah, it's an aggressive move, but he's one of the guys that can pull it off. Versus,
I love it.
yeah, that's what I like more now.
That's Louis Hamilton, Grand Prix winner. Do you think that he's going to have success with Ferrari?
If Ferrari can get their shit together, yes.
That's kind of the big question, right? Like this is their push to go get like a serious driver on their team and add more to that and try to make another push to.
Yeah, they've been struggling this season a lot. Early in the year, they showed a lot of promise.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like anything that can go wrong for the team has gone wrong.
Yeah,
from like faulty pit stops to blowing out engines. Like it's just
sometimes
random flukes.
Coaching and like everything doesn't work out for one season,
And that's what it feels like this year is.
just don't blow it up. Add and continue and trust the system that you've already built.
Yeah, I mean, this was a good showing for them. Ferrari ended up in the top 7 after qualifying outside the top 10. So they were able to like
really
work their way up really well. Like Carlos Sainz like put on a really good masterclass of moving up in the draft or moving up in the race.
Last thing I want to talk about, basketball again. DeMar DeRozan gets traded to the Kings. We'll hit this really quickly. DeMar DeRozan ended up. I talked about the Bulls last week, saying that they can't get rid of anyone. They're not really committing to blow up, but when they want to blow it up, they can't because no one wants their assets. They were able to get off DeRozan, and then they were able to get a pick and some cash back and, do their thing. Harrison Barnes then leaves, goes to the Spurs. Shout out to Harrison Barnes, getting paid to do the bare minimum always. The Kings.
He's a good 3-point shooter. He's a good 3-and-D guy.
That's the thing. You think he is, and then you look at his stats, and you're like, 29%.
No.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Hold on.
Yeah. Anyway, the Kings, DeMar DeRozan getting added, who's debatably probably one of the best mid-range shooters in the league next to, like, Kevin Durant. I'm going to watch you look at the stats.
Last season, 38.7% from
What about
three.
the year before?
37.4.
Wow.
His career average is basically 38%, 37.9.
He's a decent three-point shooter then.
He's averaging 14 points a game,
Yeah,
just under 5 rebounds, 2 assists,
piece.
and a steal.
He's a good bench piece.
Yeah, he's a good role guy.
Sorry, Harrison. I didn't mean to give you the smoke like that. You're better than I thought.
He's a decent role guy.
So let's talk about the Kings. Did the Kings lose a really good player then? They added a great one.
No,
I think.
they added DeRozan, which is a great move. I don't know how he fits in the scheme.
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest. It seems like the Kings are saying, I know our biggest issue was 3-ball shooting, but we re-signed Malik Monk. He'll be our 3-and-D. He'll be our 3 guy.
Yeah.
And then it'll be, not me, but like De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, and Sabonis are like, we're just going to score every 2 points you've ever seen.
That's what it feels like they're moving
We're going to
towards.
slash and dash.
Which I hope that whoever plays that other forward position is a 3 guy.
Yeah.
Like whoever they end up moving around,
Let's-
trying to retool.
Let's play a game, Don.
Oh, no.
Would you rather be the Kings or this other team going into next year's season?
Okay.
All right. Would you rather be the Kings or the Utah Jazz?
Kings.
Okay. Would you rather be the Kings or the San Antonio Spurs?
Kings. I think the Spurs are still building.
I think they're very much in the rebuild still.
Yeah, they're still like they're getting a lot of vets around
Mm-hmm.
Wemby, which is good, but it's not going to translate to playoff. It's like get him playoff experience in
Yeah.
the first round or two. They're not moving all in to go for a championship yet.
Would you rather be the Kings or the Golden State Warriors?
Oh, Kings. Warriors need to blow
I
it up.
agree. I think I'd rather be the Kings. I think the Warriors can't blow it up because they're going to stick with Steph Curry for the rest of their career.
I mean,
Like,
you
as
have
long
to.
as they
You
can.
can't get rid of them.
A few more. Would you rather be the Kings or the Clippers going forward?
I think the Clippers.
You just trust Kawhi and James Harden as the core, and Zubac over De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and
It's
DeMar?
mainly because I think the Kings are cursed. And
Yeah.
that's more the reason why the Clippers will.
I'm
The
not
Clippers
really necessarily saying just like championship, but more of like just playoff success. The Kings really just want to win a playoff series.
like as a fan, I think the Kings are going to offer more
Mm-hmm.
excitement, and I think they're going to give you more hope.
Last one: the Kings or the Phoenix Suns going forward.
That's an interesting one.
So that's Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal,
Yeah,
Devin
no, that's
Booker,
Suns. That's
Grayson Allen.
Suns. Suns could still make a run.
I agree. I think if you're like Devin Booker's having a crazy year and Kevin Durant's on his thing and all of a sudden Bradley Beal's not a complete hot plate of butt cheeks, you're like, oh, this team's kind of good. And Grayson Allen's playing really good 3
Yeah.
He's doing everything he's supposed to be doing as a wing guard. Like, we're doing it.
No, I agree there. I think the Kings have a lot of. I just want to see their scheme fit more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how this team is going to come together.
They're all going to
considering-
stand in the key.
Yeah,
at one
it's like just going to leave Monk in a corner.
Yeah. And Malik Monk's going to be like kick back the whole time.
And if he puts up like 10 threes a
No,
game, like
I'm gonna
that's not a bad
I'm going
idea.
to be betting Malik Monk 3-point attempts like
You have to. You
all
have
the
to take
time.
every
I'm gonna be
over.
like 9.5 and be like, give me 12. Like, I don't know. What do you think this is?
Take the alternate lines. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's it right now.
Let's get into the bust of the week. I'm going to go first.
Sure.
I don't know if you saw this. This kind of happened today. I had to erase mine
Okay.
and redo it. Do you know who Mike Gundy is?
Yeah.
Mike Gundy is the head coach,
The coach.
of Oklahoma State football.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago or a few days ago, one of his players got caught in a DUI.
Oh no.
Correct. And today was the Big 12 Media Day. And what he did was put on the best masterclass a head coach has ever done. During his interview, and they asked him, hey, what's the situation with the DUI going to be? He goes, it's happened before. I've done it thousands of times myself. It just so happens that Ollie didn't get lucky this time. Which is
What?
so gangster. But you can't say that on
You can't
Big
say that out
12,
loud.
especially they're debuting. Utah entered and Colorado's here and like Cincinnati's here and like all these new teams are here in the Big 12 and he's like, yeah, I drink and drive all the time and I'm kind of sad that my star running back got it. So when they asked him if there was going to be any sort of punishment for his player, he said, and I quote, if there's any punishment, it's I'm going to make him carry the ball 50 times the first game. Now there's two ways to take that. That's either they're punishing him, so they're gonna physically let him
They're
get
gonna
his body
physically
destroyed,
abuse this man.
or they don't believe that it was even punishable, so they're going to reward him by giving him 50 touches. Either way, Mike Gundy is wrong. He's the
man-
bust of the week.
He sounds like a psycho.
I kind of love him.
He's giving me all of the Detroit Lions coaching staff energy.
Yeah.
But all
But in the
geared
worst way.
In the worst way.
Yeah, he's the kind of coach I'm gonna be in college football, my video game next week.
Like if I have that
Yeah.
as a coach, I'm not taking the sport seriously. Like that's a
Oh.
coach like you goof off with.
Oklahoma State is a rich institution of like fans that are so delusional that they're actually even good enough to win in their own crappy division. It's sad. Watching Oklahoma State fans have to lie to themselves every year like they're getting prime Barry Sanders back is so disappointing that when I see them end up winning 8 games at the end of every single year, I look back at them and I go, what'd you think was going to happen, cowboy? And I really do mean that.
No, I believe it.
Yeah.
No, I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably do.
Don, who's your bust of the week?
Any top seed at Wimbledon.
Oh,
Because everyone's getting upset right now.
yeah. Can you give me the list?
So the big ones right now is for the women's. Number 1 seed, Swinnick lost on Saturday. Number 3 seed withdrew with the shoulder injury. Basically, coming out of the quarterfinals, there's only 2 top 10 women left. And coming out of the quarterfinals, number 1 ranked overall center for the men's also got upset.
So everyone's just getting
So-
kicked out of Wimbledon.
Everyone, so any top
Is that
seeds
bad for the sport?
I think that's great for the sport because I love parity. Like I like seeing the underdogs come
like,
up and win.
If all the wild card teams in the NFL playoffs won, people would be like, the Steelers really need to be in the AFC Championship.
Like, it feels
game against the
weird.
Jacksonville
Exactly,
Jaguars right
it's
now.
one of those.
Like,
it's like, well, how good were they in the first place?
Yeah.
Like I enjoy seeing.
I guess
I
tennis
enjoy
is
like a
different,
couple.
though. Yeah.
Like it's a lot of fun. This many is like. This is a weird, like something's in the water there.
Do you remember a few years ago in March Madness, like 2 years ago, when all the upsets just kept winning, and like we were like in the 3rd round, and we were like, okay, this is kind of a little gross, and then we ended up with like a San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, like Final Four, and we were like, this is cool, but like I'd rather see Duke in North Carolina.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of fun for a one-off, but it's just something feels like it's off.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what it is? It's probably because you're watching tennis and you're like, man, this is where I'm at. It's July and I'm watching tennis.
I love watching tennis year
I know
round.
you like tennis, and it might be your most gambled on sport.
It probably is. In the last 2 years, it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's just because there's games every day.
Yeah.
Internationally, there's games every day, so it's easy to find something.
Got anything else on that?
It just feels funky. It's just one of those,
your eye-
like,
are
I'm
you-
like, how good was this seating choices?
Is this you giving me a tip to bet on a couple underdogs in Wimbledon?
This is me, like, well, I mean, it's running a little
way
bit
too
behind
late.
now. We're
Gotcha.
in the semis.
Yeah. Well, damn
But
it.
it's something I'll keep my eye on for the next major.
Gotcha. All right, guys, let's get into the top 12 NFL running backs going into this next year. Me and Don went through the top 12. Why do we do 12? Because we like to go a little bit extra. We like to do a little bit more. I think 12 is a better encapsule of what the season is.
Yeah, because the minute you get top 10, there's a few, like, you always do
There's guys
honorable
you're like,
mentions.
yeah.
Like, this feels more complete.
Yeah. So I'm going to do top 12. We're going to start with one and work our way down because I
Sure.
feel like I think our top three might be interchangeable.
Yeah, well, I don't know. My number one is number one.
I think you're going to be so disrespectful to me today. It's going to be disgusting.
You
are, yeah.
Not intentionally. Not intentionally.
Well, number one, Christian McCaffrey.
CMC every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all
No,
right.
that's,
You want to talk about him? I'll talk about him. You talk about
there's
him.
no reason to really talk about him. Like, in
Me
my
and you
mind.
have been Christian McCaffrey fans since 2014 when we
Since
saw,
Stanford.
Yeah, since we saw the Northwestern game. Like, it was
wild to watch him.
It's been awesome. I'm so happy I get to play with him in NCAA college football next week. Yeah, that's our first sponsor. Deal with it, Don. I'd say 4 more
Sponsored,
times.
not sponsored.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he's the number one for a reason. Got a big contract extension for the next 3 years. Like,
He got
he's earned
married
it.
too. He's amazing. He can literally do everything. I would say the one flaw in his game is probably injuries, but like that's not even a flaw in the game.
That's not on him.
And he's been very healthy these past few years and been playing at an all-time level. He's the best.
Yeah, because he no longer has to do everything for the team, and I think that takes a little pressure off the body.
Yeah. Number 2, I'll go first.
Sure.
Because this guy's, I don't think he's going to be in your top 5.
Okay.
I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor.
He is in my top 5.
Okay.
Not number 2, though.
Cool. I have Jonathan Taylor at 2. Jonathan Taylor had back-to-back slow seasons.
Yes. Well, I mean, last season wasn't a slow season as much as he sat out.
Correct. But when he does play, he has proven that he's one of the best running backs in the league. I think his game is as complete as any other running back. I think he's currently in his prime.
25.
Correct. Yeah. This is the prime. This is the blow up year. I see. If I had to guarantee someone to get 1,000 yards if they're healthy, like over 1,500 yards playing the full season, he has a fantastic offensive line. Again, I think the offense is going to take a jump because there's more weapons around him. Do I think the defense is going to be good for the Colts? No. But I do think that offense is going to hum, and it's going to be centered around Jonathan Taylor. And for the first time in a long time, we're going to see him have a really, really good year. Jonathan Taylor is my number 2. Who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Derrick Henry.
My number 3 is Derrick Henry.
Okay. And I think the reason I have him a little higher, I mean, he's ranked inside the top 2 in both carries and rushing yards 4 out of the last 5 seasons.
Correct.
He hasn't really shown any sign of slowing down much.
He's shown a little last year.
I don't know if I blame it on him as much as Will Levis had the worst completion percentage in the NFL out of all eligible quarterbacks.
Yes.
So
but Tajay Spears was able to show that he had value last year.
Yeah, Tajay Spears wasn't in between the tackles as much as bounce out passes.
Correct. That's the one area of Derrick Henry's game that I know it's not comparing it to like Christian McCaffrey or other guys like Jahmyr Gibbs is not fair. It's passable. It's not as good as Jonathan Taylor's receiving game.
Yeah.
But right now, if you're telling me Dio bet on one running back to score 20-plus touchdowns this year, I'm putting all my money on Derrick Henry. I think
exactly.
I think Derrick Henry might not hit 1,000 yards only because there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense.
Well, okay, weird thing.
Yeah.
So with Tennessee last season, he finished 2nd overall in rushing yards.
Yeah, no.
And
remember I was like dancing on his graves, and I was like, it's crazy because like he did have a bad year.
He still have 1,100 yards
Number 2 in
on the ground.
Yards. Yeah, and he will still probably have that this year. He'll probably
Easily.
lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns.
Probably.
And he probably won't even play every single game and do that.
I think
if you told me he played 14 games, it'd still be like 19 touchdowns.
it feels accurate.
Yeah.
I think the small run. I think he's just going to become more efficient as a runner.
I think so,
because
too.
they're going to take the pressure off him a
I
bit.
do worry a little bit about that Ravens offensive line, but we're not talking about offensive lines. We're talking about
Oh, we're going to talk O lines. I am going to talk O lines for some other guys.
That's fine. Because the next guy I want to talk about, he's my number 4.
Or number 3.
Oh, who's your number 3?
Number 3 for me is Bijan.
Okay.
10th most yards from scrimmage last season, 6th and running back yards.
You're buying into the talent of
I'm
Bijan.
buying into the talent. Well, he finished 6th overall in yards for all running backs.
He's my 4, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, so we're right there then. While having only 186 touches, which was an insanely low number compared to what a traditional starting running back would have, in my mind. You're also seeing Ritter get exchanged out for Cousins, so that should bring more efficiency to the pass game, less workload on the run game there.
I think we're about to watch Bijan explode.
And I think it's because of Zach Robinson, the new offensive coordinator.
I agree.
Yeah, brought him in from the Rams, was there for the 2016 campaign of Todd Gurley, where Gurley blew up. Was there for
the Kyron Williams explosion.
Kyron Williams, he was he had a hand in. He had a hand in Cooper Kupp's Triple Crown MVP season in 2021, and Puka Nakua's last season, setting up all the rookie receiving records as well.
So you think that we're about to get an explosion?
I think we're going to get an explosion. He knows how to use his talent really well, and
he knows how to feed his best players.
He knows how to feed his best players,
which is something Atlanta, ironically, has great players. Don't want to feed them.
No, and I'm buying into Kyle Pitts and Drake London a little bit more, seeing the coaching pedigree around them.
Atlanta right now, and I think it's a slippery slope.
Sir. It is. No, it is. It is.
I think they're going to be good. I just don't. I don't think they're going to be great.
No, I think Kyle Pitts right now is moving from he's a top 10 tight end to he can be a top 5.
I still like Isaiah Likely more than him. I still would rather have Isaiah Likely than Kyle Pitts right now, and I stand by that.
Yeah,
I think that's
an interesting discussion. That's a good discussion.
The best tight end room in the NFL right now. I think next year things will change. I think the Raiders will have it.
Your number 4.
My number 4 was Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
What's your number 4?
Breece Hall.
Okay, that's my number 6.
Okay, yeah.
Let's talk about Breece Hall.
Breece Hall, you wouldn't even notice last season him coming off the ACL.
Breece Hall
just exploded.
Is the number 1 running back in the league right now that you can turn on a game and you're like, oh, who is that unbelievable highlight?
Yes.
He's unbelievable highlight. He's good for 4 of them every year. He's such an explosive runner. He's just been surrounded by absolute incompetence on the offensive side. I'm starting to get worried that they're never going to capitalize on the prime of Breece Hall.
It is scary.
It's now or never. It's now or never.
This is only his 3rd, 4th season.
I understand that. 3rd year, if you're a running back and you haven't shown me that, it's over.
He's shown it to me already, and I think having Rodgers healthy, even whether or not
they'd sign him on a contract right now?
I think they would. I
hope so.
I think any team would right now, because I think, and then with Rodgers healthy, brings stability to that quarterback position. Whether or not you think Rodgers still has it, I'm not trying to make that argument.
I believe that Rodgers will have something.
He'll have something in the
Zach
tank,
Wilson.
exactly, and it won't be that rotating quarterback carousel at the end of the season.
Let's take a quick pivot. What's the worst you think Aaron Rodgers plays at Derek Carr level?
Yeah, and that's fine.
Still a good.
That's
quarterback.
still a good quarterback.
It's
like that. I think that worst case scenario, we have an average quarterback, which would be a leap forward for this team compared to last season, which would only be better for Breece. Because he's no longer having to do the Saquon role. He's no longer having to be Derrick Henry last season for the Titans, where he's I'm it. That's it.
I love Breece Hall.
Yeah.
I love Breece Hall so much. My little brother loves Breece Hall more than anyone I've ever met. Shout out to Breece Hall. Number 5 for you.
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
And I have him dropped back a bit.
I understand.
Mainly due to Anthony Richardson.
I get that.
I think touches are going to get vultured. It's nothing on the talent. Jonathan Taylor's still my top 5 for a reason. I just had to move him down because I don't think he's going to get 250 touches.
I don't think that they're going to run with Anthony Richardson as much. I think we've learned that they're we're going to try to stay away from the designed runs as
I don't think it's going to be designed runs, and that's where I'm coming. I think that's the worry there.
Most of his runs were designed, though.
Yeah.
When he was asked to stay in the pocket, he stood in the pocket.
But I think they're going to move to maybe to a couple RPOs. Now it's the second year they're going to start.
He's an RPO guy last year. He's
But considering
We
how
never
I
got to see Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson play together.
that is a big question mark. And
Yeah.
considering how I saw Richardson run the ball, how I saw him execute the offense in the handful that he was there, the 4 games.
Zach Moss was doing 6 games. Zach Moss was doing his thing.
Yeah, Zach Moss was doing great. Richardson would take the ball himself a lot. He put it
He had
on
some
himself.
games.
He had some game. Well,
Yeah, I mean, he had 5 rushing touchdowns in 6 games. So
it wasn't
he
even.
did it.
Yeah, it wasn't even just that. It was just on our basic RPO plays from like the other 40.
Yeah.
He would rather put it on himself to throw or pass than hand the ball off.
I'm so in on the Anthony Richardson train. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, and it's not a bad method. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I've seen him want to take control.
Yeah.
Which is arguably a good thing for a quarterback. Like you want to own your game.
So you're predicting the
Jonathan Taylor below 250 touches or below 250 touches this season.
if you had to predict how many touchdowns he had, what would you guess?
Oh, I'd still put him at like 7 to 8.
Okay,
But
I
at
think
a
that's-
minimum.
I think that's a great number for him. I think he has a.
7 to 8 rushing. 7 to 8 rushing.
I think that the floor for him is high as like a Christian McCaffrey, as a Derrick Henry. I think that's why I put him in that company.
Sure.
I think the floor of Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson can be terrible.
They could be like, yeah, they could just fall off the map.
Yeah, 'cause,
I think
like-
their ceiling's higher due to the situation.
100%.
Then I'm trying to bet on their ceilings being
Oh.
the younger players
Bijan
being in
Robinson
optimal situations.
At the end of this year, could be the number 1 running back in the league.
Oh, easily.
And so could
easily.
Breece Hall.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not mad. Here's a guy who probably. Oh my God! I just did the Crins Collinsworth.
Yes, you did.
Oh man, Saquon Barkley's my number 5.
Okay.
I think Saquon Barkley's got 2 more great years in him.
Yes.
Would I have paid him? Probably not. But we're here.
Some team needed to. Someone was going to,
Good
no matter
offensive
what.
line. I think they do take a step back on that offensive line, but not by much. I think the Eagles are going to be the best team in the NFC. No surprise there. I think they are a very good team. They're going to be held back by coaching. That's it. That will be it. If their coaching can get corrected, everything on that team is ready to hit a Super Bowl.
The offense just stagnated. I don't know what was up with the play calling.
They just stopped getting creative.
They did.
I think they're going to re-energize.
They brought in a new
retool,
OC.
figure
They
things
should
out.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley adds such an element to that offense that it actually blows my mind how someone's going to be able to stop a healthy Eagles offense running in rhythm. It's going to be
It's
hard.
going to be interesting to match up against
Who
them.
was your 5? Was it
JT.
okay? Who was your 6?
6 for me is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay,
So I have Jahmyr Gibbs
Let's-
mainly.
let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs.
So, okay, I'm going to read some names.
I like Jahmyr Gibbs.
No, I know. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to convince why I have him at 6.
I have him at 11.
Okay, see, that's
Okay, convince me.
Mike Anderson,
Okay,
Clinton Portis,
love Clinton Portis.
Maurice Jones-Drew, Adrian Peterson,
Great.
Zeke,
Yeah, good.
Saquon,
Love him.
Jonathan Taylor, and Jahmyr
He's-
Gibbs.
Year 2 bursts.
Only rookie running backs with at least 900 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns since the year 2000.
Gotcha. Can I give you one name?
Sure.
David Montgomery.
Not worried. You saw. I'm not worried about it. He is going to have a timeshare. That is going to happen no
David
matter what.
Montgomery is valuable.
Oh, he
forever.
is. No, he
He's
will
so
be.
good.
He's
so good.
The ceiling
He's
on
on my
touchdowns.
list.
The ceilings on touchdowns is going to be capped for me. That is not going to be the argument there. But in my mind, out of
Electricity?
my top 12, he had the second lowest amount of touches out of everybody else last season.
They didn't want to give him the ball. Remember that?
They spent the first half of the season limiting his usage.
I traded him in our
completely.
fantasy league, and he immediately popped off.
And he still put up almost 950 rushing yards
Yeah, he's a dog. I kept telling
on
everyone. he's amazing.
182 touches.
Yeah.
5.2 yards a carry.
Do you think he's going to get over 250 touches?
I think that if he gets over 230, he is going to be in that conversation of 1,100 yards, possibly 1,200.
That puts him in elite.
And that puts him into the elite level. I think it's going to, if you can get him over 200 touches, he is going to break 1,000.
Yeah.
He is going to move into 1,100 right there.
Well-
if you get him 20 more touches, he's there.
I'll talk about only the positives of Jahmyr, and I'll wait for the negatives when I get to him later.
Sure.
Jahmyr, positive. He's dynamic. He breaks more tackles than you would expect for a small guy.
Yeah. Very shifty.
He is the definition of shift. He has the burst to get you up and down the field, and he might be He's the second best receiving running back in the NFL right now. He's so dangerous with the ball in his hands. And for a Lions team that could probably use a few more weapons than people really want to give them credit for, like, they really don't. Jameson Williams is not the guy for me. I think it's really just like
he's going to be a good wide receiver 3, wide
St.
receiver
Brown.
4.
Yeah, like I think Jahmyr Gibbs is electric on all levels, and you want to give him the ball. I think he genuinely has the sky's the limit. And if you ask me, outside of Christian McCaffrey, the only player to go for 1,000, it would be Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I could see him doing that. And that's why I have him ranked as high as I do.
Yeah.
You're number 6.
We already did my number 6. My 6 was Breece Hall.
Okay. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. Let's go to 7.
This is where I have Saquon.
You have Saquon at 7. Take it.
I had him fall back a little bit in my rankings. Mainly a little bit of age, but mainly due to scheme fit. Eagles like to run by committee, so that's going to eat into Saquon touches.
Correct.
On top of that, elite weapons in the pass game. That's going to take Saquon's pass catching down a little bit, and then it's just mainly that. I just think the opportunities are going to be more limited, but I think he's going to be extremely efficient in his opportunities now.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I care about. Who's doing the most with what they got?
And I think he is. I mean, he's going to have the highlights. He's still going, but he's not going to be.
Barkley.
He's not going to be 220 carries. He's going to be 190, 200.
I'm okay with that.
And he's still going to be fine. Like I
think he's got 2 years of doing that at an elite level.
He's still elite. I just think that when you get to the goal line, it's going to be Hurts running the ball, and in between the 20s, they have great weapons they can pass to. They don't need to check down all the time.
Are we sure that at the 1 yard line it's Hurts?
I'm not. To me, it favors that. Cause that's the Hurts thing, because he also is going to. Not only does the ball not going to get past him as much as in New York, Hurts can also run the ball.
Correct, but guess what? Saquon's a weapon that's on the field at all times.
Oh yeah, Saquon is, except Eagles like committee.
It's fine.
And they have yet to prove me otherwise that it's not going to be a committee.
I want him in the committee so that way he's healthy.
Oh yeah, and he's going to make the highlight plays. He's still going to have 7+ touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think he's not going to hit 1,300 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground. Like, it's just not going to be that
That's
elite.
your 7.
That's my 7.
My 7 is Kyren Williams.
Okay.
I think Kyren Williams showed me last year, hey, the year before that, when he got drafted, I was like, this guy can be something.
Sure.
They didn't give him the opportunity. Whatever, that's fine. They gave him the opportunity last year, and what they saw was, hey, this guy can quite literally do it all.
Yeah.
When he's healthy, he can be a dynamic runner. He catches the ball efficiently. Mm-hmm. And what do we know about Sean McVay? He abuses his running backs. He loves
really does.
giving them the ball when they're electric. Yes, I think injuries are going to slow him down. Yes, I think Blake Corum's actually going to be a weapon along the 1 yard line and actually be a bell cow running back and kind of a little bit of annoying if you do end up drafting Kyren Williams. But as a fan of the game, you're going to be looking at Kyren Williams and be like, this guy's a weapon. You have to game plan for him. Yes. I think he's a top seven running back in the NFL right now.
I have him outside my top 12.
That's crazy.
But it's mainly he's already picked up a soft tissue injury early on.
He's banged up a little bit.
He's still a little banged up, and I want to see how that carries over to training camp. Traditionally, guys who have soft tissue injuries during entering training camp or early in training camp have those lingering issues throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And so I want to see him get healed up, get rid of this injury tag that's on him now by training camp or hopefully within the first week, and then I'll be more trustworthy during the season.
Who's your number 8?
My number 8, Josh Jacobs.
I have Josh Jacobs at 10.
Okay. Let's
talk about Josh Jacobs.
Green Bay knows how to use their running backs. Aaron Jones has been elite for years.
If A.J. Dillon was the guy, A.J. Dillon would have been the guy.
Exactly. There's no one that's going to compete for that starting role whatsoever.
Josh Jacobs can do everything that they want.
Has already been a rushing champion.
Yeah, he's going to smack people in the face. He can receive the ball well. I think he's going to be really, really good in that offense.
He has good hands. I think the Packers made the good move. Move on from Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
And then get a younger Aaron Jones, essentially. Yeah. That's all they've done.
Yeah.
And it's going to fit perfect.
I like that. My number 8 is Isaiah Pacheco.
Okay.
I think Isaiah Pacheco, after 2 Super Bowl runs, has quickly shown himself. He's like, I can quite literally do it all. Do I run a little weird? Yeah, but
He runs angry.
Guess what?
He runs angry.
He's a really good running back. Andy Reid knows how to use him.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think his touches might be scaled back a little bit this year because they have a couple more weapons? Sure, he might not catch the ball as much. I still think Isaiah Pacheco is a dart that can take off for 90 yards at any point. I love Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh, he can.
Is he on your top 12?
He's not on my top 12.
Who are you putting in your top 12? Who's your number 9?
Travis Etienne.
Oh, dude, I hate. What's good about Travis Etienne? I think
Between
he's the most overrated running back. He's not.
he led the league in touchdowns from week 16 to the end of the season. Led the league in rushing yards.
the
in
last
week
3 weeks?
The last 3 weeks led it in touchdowns and rushing yards. He also second worst blocking O-line by PFF rankings out of the entire league last year.
Mm-hmm.
Still ended up with the most broken tackles. Still ended up with over 1,000 rushing yards, and he had the second highest stuff rate of just getting blocked at the get-go,
Yeah.
and still is able to produce. I
feel like I've believed in Travis Etienne too many times for me to go down this well again.
I don't think that he's going to have the ceiling a lot of the guys we're mentioning are, but he's going to hit 1,000. Trevor Lawrence getting rid of that sprain that he had at the end of the season is going to bring up the pass game, which is going to get some weight off his shoulders. The O-line, they did go and draft a few guys. They've tried to improve there. I think his floor is going to be 1,000. And I think that's fine.
I don't know if I agree.
I
with
mean,
that.
what, you think Tank Bigsby's going to step in?
No, I don't. But
That's who he's competing with.
I also don't really believe in the Jaguars.
Oh no, I don't believe much. I'm not saying that they're going to be a world leader. I'm not saying that they're going to be a top tier team. I'm just saying.
You think at the end of the year, Travis Etienne's a guy that you're like, he's a top 10 running back?
I think he's 1,000 yards, and considering the variability you get at running back, I'd rather have that.
Give me Nick Chubb instead at 9.
I don't have Nick Chubb in my top.
You wouldn't have him in your top 16.
No, I don't think he plays half the season. That's why.
I think he'll be back. He's
Week 6, week 7.
He's on target for like week 5 right now.
Okay.
Week 4.
But then Jerome Ford had put up a great season last season.
Sure, and maybe he's in a committee, but like to say that if Nick Chubb comes back and he's just 90% of what he was before he left, he's still a top 10 running back in the league.
He's still going to be great. I'm talking end of season production will not show. Like if you just read stat lines, it won't show that to that degree.
And lucky for me, I watch the sport of football and I use stats to push my narratives that I see on the field. That's what you do. Using plain objective stats without watching the sport is just whack. That's crazy.
Well, it's hard to rate somebody as being top 10 in the position when they're going to miss half a season. That's where I draw that line.
Yeah, I know. I would still rather have someone that leave. I mean, I had that last year. I would have loved Jonathan Taylor to be there the whole year, sure, but like he was there on the back half and helped us almost make a playoff push, and we wouldn't have done it.
I'm not saying they're not valuable. I'm not trying to knock any talent with this. It's just I don't want to bet knowing. It's not a guy I want to bet on to be a top 12 finisher when I know he's going to have this big handicap against him.
Can I guess your 9?
Sure.
Is it Kenneth Walker?
No, I already did 9 with ETN. 10? Aaron Jones.
Oh, Aaron Jones is my 15.
Okay. Aaron Jones to me, the talent's there. There's no one to compete with him in Minnesota.
And that's where people are woefully ignorant. Ty Chandler got the opportunity last year.
And they still went back to Madison.
Yeah, they did because Ty Chandler got hurt.
Yeah.
When Ty Chandler was healthy, he was a starter. Guess what the camp buzz is? Ty Chandler's picking up the offense, and he's running with the ones as much as Aaron Jones. I'm not saying I don't like Aaron Jones. I really like Aaron Jones, and I think he's going to be really good. But at the end of the year, I think you're going to be like, damn, Ty Chandler's got some shit going down.
I hope so. This I feel is my riskiest pick so far. Yeah. Because I know he's going to miss 4 games. I know he's going to miss at least that with... Like, he's going to get knocked out of at least 4. This is my 10. His hamstrings.
Give me your 11.
Raheem Mostert. And I feel like he's...
Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
You put Raheem Mostert?
Top 12.
You think at the end of the year, Raheem Mostert is better than Devon Achane?
I think he is being slept on. Achane cannot go between the tackles.
Oh, Don, you're doing it again. It's fine. It worked for you last time.
It worked fine.
Doubling down on it does not sound like a classic you move.
Achane cannot get between the tackles. I'm not even looking at it as...
What about the rookie they
objectively?
Drafted?
The rookie, Mostert had the starting role for a reason. They signed him to an extension for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have done that if they didn't think there was still tread on the tires. Mm-hmm. Achane is still going to eat. I understand that. I know that. I don't think Mostert ends up number 2 running back at the end of the season like he did last year. That is not going to happen again. But the scheme has not changed. The personnel around him, other than drafting a rookie, has not shifted. They are going to do the same offense. But like essentially, like there's going to be very little switch up. He is going to have a great season regardless. That unless you're betting on injuries for him.
Yeah.
Which and his last couple of years he's been injury free.
He's been
He's doing the Frank Gore, injury prone in the beginning of his career, getting healthy, playing smarter football at the end, getting down when he needs to get down, avoiding the big hits.
Yeah.
And I think him being the only guy that's like, we're on the one and either run the ball, and he's the only guy big enough to do it, I think that bodes well.
I got my number 11 was Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sure.
And then my number 12, I was really sitting here, and I was like, I got to take a shot.
Okay.
There's a player that I like a lot that I do believe at the end of this year will be a top 12 running back.
Okay.
It's not Kenneth Walker. It's not DeAndre Swift. It's not Joe Mixon. It's Jonathan Brooks, the rookie coming out of Texas, who would have been a really good pick a few years ago, but just didn't. The talent never reached to where he was supposed to be at. But if you watch Texas football and you're a Texas fan, you know there's something special about Brooks. I think he was a first-round running back. I think he was by far the best running back. I think he's explosive. I think everything that Carolina wants him to do out of an improved offensive line. And a Carolina team, I do think is going to take a good step forward.
Yeah, they went and got a lot more talent to surround Bryce Young over there.
And me and you are Bryce Young guys.
Yeah, I think he takes a step forward.
I think this offense takes a step forward, and we're talking about Jonathan Brooks next year at the same time when we're making this list, and we're going to be like, gotta put him in the conversation of the top 12.
Okay.
And I'm going to put him in now.
Yeah, that's not a bad
I'm gonna
move.
call my shot. Who's your 12?
My 12 is Ken Walker.
Yeah. And you know what? I 100% agree with you, and I would not argue with you on Kenneth Walker being at your 12.
No, to me, he's a true boomer bust running back.
When he booms, though.
When he booms, he is one of the most explosive backs in the league. 11th overall in explosive runs last season. But then he was also the 9th highest stuffed running back because there was just no O-line in front of him.
Seahawks offensive line is poor.
They went through 10 different offensive line combinations last season. Like just because of injuries, just because of who they had. And they were ranked 28th in blocking by PFF. But this season they went and they got Scott Huffman from the Huskies, who just won Best Offensive Line in college football last season, the Joe Moore Award, and they spent 5 draft picks on O-linemen.
Yeah,
they are investing.
Were like, we're going to go get an offensive line for our team. Because that really is their weakest point.
That's their weakest point. Yeah. I think with this much investment onto that position group is going to, at least something has to pay dividends.
I'm a little worried about Kenneth Walker just for the Zach Charbonnet factor of it. Same reason why I have Jahmyr Gibbs at 11.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I believe David Montgomery is like a legit, really good running back.
Montgomery's,
16.
I was like, he's a top 15 to me. He's floating around
so
in that
dangerous.
area.
And same thing, I think Zach Charbonnet might impress some people being like a really good backup. I think he's a really good backup in this league.
No, he's a great backup without a doubt. I just think giving Walker better blocking, reducing that stuff rate is only going to add to his explosive plays.
If you had to pick someone in your top 12 to fall out of the top 12, who would you pick?
The fallout completely. Aaron Jones is the easy one there.
I think Aaron Jones.
Like
for
he's my riskiest one. His ceiling's high. If he does take the Minnesota job and run away with it, he's going to be McCarthy's best friend.
Yeah,
because you have Justin Jefferson, sure hands. You have Aaron Jones, sure hands. Great veteran leadership around him. But the floor is his legs just give up and he misses half a year, if not more.
Mine's going to be Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, I think, like you said, for all the reasons why you're scared of him, I do believe in Nick Chubb because I want to see the redemption. I want to see him win a comeback player of the year one time. Is there a player that isn't in your top 12, top 15 that you would like to see get into or see a path where they can get into that top
weird
12?
A weird outside one we haven't really said their name yet.
James Cook?
I was going to say James Conner.
And
it's just because
I'm so out on James Conner, it's crazy.
They're just going to run him into the ground.
I don't even think he gets the ball.
Really?
I love Trey Benson.
Trey Benson's not bad.
I almost put Trey Benson at my 12 because I was picking between Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks. My whole thing on Trey Benson is I think Trey Benson is the most talented running back coming out of this draft. The only thing about him is he likes to get injured. He loves injuries, but so does James Conner. They both like to get injured, so I'm going to see how that dynamic works.
Yeah.
But if you're playing on a pure like both these guys stay healthy a whole 17, Trey Benson might be Rookie of the Year good.
It'd be interesting to see. I think if Connor still just maintains that starting role and they let the rookie sit behind and be a backup for a season, he showed it last year. Like, I haven't seen that fallout. Like, I haven't watched him on film and been like, he's lost a step yet. And that's
it's because he runs so violently.
He runs violently. When it falls off, it's gonna just come down a cliff.
Yeah.
But I just haven't seen him lose a step yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, in my mind, he still has the ceiling potential until he does.
Rashad White is a big name.
More on volume, I think.
I like him a lot. I think he's talented. I think he's just in a certain situation where that offense has to play a certain way.
Yeah, I agree there.
Zamir White has some chances over there in Vegas. He's going to get all the opportunity.
We'll see.
He might be in the opportunity role where we're just like, I guess we got to say something, you know?
No, he's worth mentioning. He's worth bringing up in this role, but
Chase
I just
Brown,
don't know if he
Zach
goes
Moss
forward.
in Cincinnati. We'll see what happens. Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce, one of those guys is going to emerge being a weapon. One of them has to. Devin Singletary did for a little bit, and I think Joe Mixon's way better than Devin Singletary right now.
Oh, easily. Yeah, Mixon's going to be interesting. It's just I think they're going to be more focused on the pass game.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Last thing we're going to talk about is the question of the day. This one's a simple, short one, Don. It's perfect for you. What's the best sport to play on the beach? For me, we just went to the beach. I think there's iconic games when it comes to the beach. There's beach volleyball. There's beach football. Soccer on the beach is like one of the most underrated things. But I know it's going to sound crazy. Surfing, boogie boarding, canoeing, those are all sports on the beach.
Technically.
They are sports on the beach. Golf happens on the beach sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen some guys bring out and start training in the morning there.
Yeah. What are the jogging? I'm not going to count jogging. Frisbee. I've seen people play
frisbee. Then you got the
spike ball.
Spike ball. I was going to say you have like the cornhole I've seen on the beach.
What is the best sport on the beach?
Still, to me, when I think of it, I've even seen basketball courts next to the beach. I don't know if we're going to go to that specific.
Venice is like we're in LA. It's like iconic.
It is, but I still say volleyball. Like if beach volleyball is just the peak to me. Like nothing feels
in the name of the sport.
Yeah, it just feels like there's not a beach day unless even if you just bring a ball and you're just hitting it back and forth. You don't even need the net. Yeah. You just a group of people just getting a rally together. That just feels like a beach day.
I'm gonna go with kite flying. I think competitive kite flying on a beach is the best thing you can do for a beach day. Period. If it wasn't, then why are there so many kites at the beach?
Oh, it's to claim dominance over everyone else. That you have the highest thing in the air.
Passing a football on the beach to a friend that's about to crash into a wave is one of the most beautiful bits of joy you can have in your life.
Their head off.
And then immediately screaming at them to get the ball because the current's starting to take it. You see them panicking. They're freaking out. They get the ball. The water's now up to their neck. They can't throw that kind of pass. They don't have that Anthony Richardson arm. It now goes back into another wave, gets ripped, and then you just see them. It's its own struggle. Only for you to get the ball back and then do the same thing. It's my favorite thing to do to Donovan at the beach. I love doing it. He enjoys it. We call it drowning with style. It's a great thing. I love
terrible.
it. Let's go into the last thing. It's bet of the day,
Yes.
Don. Give me your bet of the day as this show closes.
For mine, I'm taking the Hungarian Grand Prix. I think.
Shut up.
It is. I'm doubling down on F1. I did fine with George Russell and Hamilton last week.
Shout out to England.
I think my big one. I think Lando Norris is going to be a top 5 finisher. I think he has a shot at winning this one overall. He is minus 151 to win, and I do want to take his teammate Piastri for a top 3 finish. I think that they take a step forward. I think Mercedes is going to fall back a little bit. There has been announced that they're going to make some changes before this race, try some new packages before their 2-week intermission in F1. Verstappen's going to return to form, so these are the guys I think are going to be some outside shots.
I like it. I know Rays are technically favorites, but I love Rays' money line to sweep the Yankees.
Sure.
The Yankees are in a drought. They had a team meeting yesterday, and it didn't work. They lost today 4-1, and I'm going to double down on that. I would love to take the Tampa Bay Rays. And then if you're like, that's not, there's no money in that, there's no juice in that squeeze, that's fine. Let's take the Pirates Brewers over 8.5 runs tomorrow. Both they're playing really bad pitchers. Their teams are a little slower on the bats, but it's time for them to get up and going. These two teams like to perform. The Pirates like to perform at away games, and the Brewers have been launching the ball when they've been playing against subpar pitchers.
Yeah,
let's
they
go.
have explosive
Let
bats.
them go explode. I love what this team is going to do. I would take this lineup to 9.5. I think there's going to be 10 runs in this game. I think it's going to be a very, very high intensity game. That's my bet of the day.
I like it.
Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode. I know this one was a little long, but you got all top 15 running backs out of me and Don. So, love that. And remember, pray for the parlays.